Ben was in the middle of folding laundry in his modest apartment, looking out the window every so often at the warm city lights. He was a quiet man in his mid-20s, tall and lean, with short, dark hair that he kept neatly trimmed. A collection of books on theater, art, and performance sat in a shelf near the television. They had once been Anna's suggestion, little gifts over the years, meant to feed his curiosity. They reminded him daily of her bold spirit and the many ways she challenged him to explore life. With the laundry done, he took a seat on the couch and glanced at his phone. He was awaiting Anna's message, which usually arrived around this time. Anna, by contrast, was anything but quiet. She was also in her mid-20s, with a striking presence. She had a warm complexion and an ever-changing hairstyle, one day sporting a short, edgy look with shaved sides, the next letting her natural curls tumble freely. She had a flair for style, mixing masculine and feminine pieces with absolute confidence. This confidence was no mere facade. Anna was a performer. She took the stage at local clubs, sometimes in her own clothes, sometimes in a full drag king persona. She named this persona Billy Knockout, complete with tailored suits and dramatic face shading. Ben had always admired how she could captivate a crowd. That evening, Anna was finishing a gig. The venue still buzzed with leftover energy, the neon lights flickering above the empty stage. She gathered her belongings in a backstage dressing room, a black jacket, a pair of pants, makeup wipes, and comfortable shoes for the ride home. As she turned the key in her car and pulled away from the venue, she called Ben. He picked up in less than a second. "Hey, handsome," she greeted, yawning a bit. "Miss me?" Ben smiled, pressing the phone closer as if it brought her nearer. "Always," he replied. "How was the crowd?" "Electric," she answered, the exhilaration still lighting up her tone. "They loved Billy. I did some new choreography, and the tips were great. I'm on my way back now. Mind if I stop for burgers first?" "You know I don't mind," Ben said, chuckling. "I'll see you soon." 40 minutes later, Anna arrived at the apartment, a paper bag of burgers in hand. She tossed her jacket aside, kicked off her shoes, and practically flopped onto the couch beside him. Ben took one look at her smudged eyeliner and light contour and grinned. It was always fascinating to see her still partially in character. He handed her a tissue, and she dabbed at her face with quick, practiced motions. "Exhausted?" he asked, opening up a burger. She nodded. "But it's the good kind of tired. You know, the kind where you feel like you've spent your energy on something you love." She stuffed a small portion of burger into her mouth, talking between bites. "I had a crazy thought tonight, actually. You've never tried performing, but you come to see me so often. Why haven't you thought about your own act?" Ben almost choked on a fry. "Me?" he asked, a laugh escaping his lips. "I don't know about that. I'm not sure if anyone would want to see me on stage." Anna poked his shoulder. "Well, I'd want to see you. That's at least one guaranteed fan." "Sure," he joked, "but I'm not the star type, and definitely not a Billy Knockout type." Her eyes gleamed with playful mischief. "What if it wasn't like Billy at all? What if you tried drag in your own way, maybe as a queen?" She watched him closely, gauging his reaction. "You've come to see me in my suits. You've seen my friends performing with glammed-out dresses and huge wigs. Isn't there some part of you that's even a little bit curious?" He shrugged. "I mean, I've thought about what it takes to do what you do, but I don't know if I'd want to do it in front of a crowd. I'm not even sure how I'd feel, wearing that kind of makeup or outfit." Anna took a sip of soda, still eyeing him with that all-too-familiar spark of challenge. "You don't have to do it in front of anyone if you don't want to. We could start with a private trial, just a taste." Ben twirled his fry. "I'll think about it," he said, somewhat reluctantly. The idea sent a flurry of unfamiliar excitement and nerves through him. For the rest of the evening, Anna didn't press the subject too much, but he could sense her mind turning. A week passed before Anna brought it up again. It was a quiet evening. They sat at the kitchen table, poring over a bundle of pictures Anna had collected from various shows. Many of the photos were of Anna dressed as Billy, slim-fit pants, an open-collared shirt, the drawn-on facial hair, her stage persona brimming with swagger. Mixed in were shots of Anna's friends in full drag regalia, massive wigs, immaculate dresses, stunning heels. Ben noticed the artistry of it all, everything from the makeup design to the costume details. "You know," Anna said, pointing to a photo of her friend Daniela, who performed as a fiery drag queen named Bella Blaze. "She's willing to let us borrow one of her older wigs if you really want to try. She's got a closet full of them, new ones arriving every month." Ben raised an eyebrow. "You've been planning this, haven't you?" She grinned. "Maybe a bit. But it's only because I think it would be really fun to see you experiment. I love how you look in your usual jeans and t-shirts, but there's a whole new world here I want to share with you." He tapped his fingers on the table, aware of a growing interest. Maybe it was Anna's unwavering enthusiasm that had started to rub off on him. Maybe it was his own curiosity about how it would feel to step outside his usual comfort zone. Finally, he exhaled a long breath. "All right, let's give it a shot. But just the two of us. No external audience." Anna's eyes widened in excitement. "Yes! I'll message Bella tonight, see if we can borrow that wig. We'll pick something that'll be comfortable for you. And no pressure. If you hate it, we'll call it a day." Ben nodded. He felt a swirl of anticipation beneath his hesitance. Even though the idea of wearing a wig and dress in front of Anna made his heart flutter with uncertainty, he was also intrigued by the possibilities. That weekend, they gathered in Ben's bedroom. Clothes and makeup supplies were scattered around the bed. Anna had snagged the promised wig, a short, styled number with enough volume to look theatrical without being unmanageable. She had also brought a sequined dress in a color somewhere between gold and copper, one she had worn only a handful of times. It was stretchy enough to fit Ben's frame, at least for a quick private session. They laid everything out on the bed. Ben stared at the array of items: foundation, eyeshadows, lipsticks, contouring palettes, brushes of every size. His hands felt a bit clammy, but Anna's warm smile grounded him. "Remember," she said, patting his arm, "this is just us having fun. There's no right or wrong here." He cleared his throat. "Let's do it then," he managed, half laughing at how unsure he sounded. Anna started by showing him how to prepare his face. She cleansed and moisturized his skin, explaining each step. Her voice carried a gentle excitement, and it helped calm his nerves. Soon, she was applying a primer, followed by a carefully selected foundation to match his complexion. Ben watched the transformation in the mirror as his features softened under the makeup. "You have great cheekbones," Anna said, smiling. "We can play them up. Tilt your head this way." Her fingers guided his chin gently, and she applied some light contour to accentuate the natural angles of his face. Next came eyeshadow. Anna chose shades that would complement his warm skin tone. As she blended color onto his lids, he found the sensation of the brush oddly soothing. After that, she drew on some eyeliner, smudging it ever so slightly for a smoky effect, then finished with a coat of mascara. The final touch was a matte lipstick that was neither too bold nor too muted, a warm tone that felt just right for a first attempt. Ben opened his eyes fully to see himself in the mirror. At first, he hardly recognized his own face. The lines were sharper in places, softer in others, and the overall effect was undeniably intriguing. He didn't look exactly like Ben anymore, but he didn't mind it. Something about this new version fascinated him. Anna handed him the wig. "Here you go. Let me help you put it on." He let her adjust it around his head, tucking his short hair out of sight. The wig was a chestnut shade, styled in gentle waves that fell around his jawline. Then Anna helped him into the sequined dress. It stretched enough to slip over his lean frame, hugging his torso without making him feel too restricted. They had chosen a pair of low heels from Anna's collection, enough to give him some elevation, but not so high that he couldn't walk. Once fully dressed, he stared into the mirror. He saw someone who looked confident, exotic, and strangely comfortable in that shimmering garment. He tried a tentative half-turn, studying how the light caught the sequins. "How do you feel?" Anna asked softly, standing behind him, her eyes shining with pride. Ben couldn't help but smile. "Surprisingly good," he said. There was a thrill in the reveal that he hadn't anticipated. He expected to feel silly, maybe embarrassed, but instead he felt an inexplicable sense of relief, like he'd stumbled upon something he had never allowed himself to imagine. Anna clapped her hands gently. "You look amazing. Let's see a few poses." He faced her with a shy grin. "Poses? Maybe I should just try walking without falling on my face." She laughed, leading him toward the center of the room. She turned on a small speaker and played a track with a steady beat. "Just move with the music," she encouraged. "Feel the outfit, the wig, the makeup." Ben followed her lead. At first he felt self-conscious, focusing on not tripping over the heels, but as the song continued, he found a certain sway to his hips, a posture he'd never used before, an expression that felt daring. Anna watched with delight, occasionally offering tips on posture and hand placement. They spent the next hour experimenting with different songs, practicing catwalk moves, adjusting details in his makeup, and testing various lipstick shades. Each time Ben looked in the mirror, he realized he was enjoying the process more than he'd ever have guessed. Later, after they had carefully taken everything off and cleaned up, Ben's mind was still buzzing with the memory of seeing himself in that wig and dress. He felt a new spark, a sense that something inside him had opened. It wasn't about performing for others, and it wasn't about simply pleasing Anna. It was something deeper he couldn't quite name, but it made him smile softly to himself. Over the following days, Ben couldn't stop replaying the experience in his head. He would catch himself daydreaming about the brush of lipstick, the shimmer of a sequined dress, the shape of his legs in heels. Anna noticed his lingering distraction. She teased him gently, but encouraged him to talk about it. One afternoon, as they sat at the small table in their kitchen, she broached the subject. "So, you seemed pretty thrilled the other day during our experiment," she remarked, taking a sip of coffee. He tapped the edge of his mug, searching for the right words. "It was unexpectedly fulfilling," he admitted, gazing at her. "I didn't realize I could feel that comfortable in women's clothes. I guess in my head it was always something that wasn't for me. But it felt right." Anna nodded. "I'm glad you had that reaction. Sometimes you can't predict how you'll feel until you try. The question is, what do you want to do with it now? Was it a one-time curiosity, or do you want more?" He swallowed, noticing a flutter of excitement in his chest. "I actually want more. Maybe not necessarily to perform in front of a crowd. That's still a bit intimidating. But I want to explore more, see what else feels right." She reached across the table and gave his hand a reassuring squeeze. "I support that. Let's keep having fun. We can do it here until you're ready to decide if you want to take it on stage or not." Ben felt gratitude flood him. Anna always had a way of supporting his growth, never making him feel judged. He murmured a thank you, and she squeezed his hand again. Their next private session happened on a lazy Sunday morning. Anna arrived at Ben's place with a garment bag full of old costumes and outfits she thought he might like. There were skirts, tops, even a bold gown that shimmered in the sunlight. She had a few more wigs, different styles than the first, a sleek bob, a long curly option, and one with highlights that popped. They spent hours draping fabrics across his body, pinning certain areas to fit his shape better, removing pins and trying other outfits. Once Ben settled on a combination of a fitted skirt and a crop top with elegant lace sleeves, Anna set up a makeshift makeup station. This time, Ben asked to do some of the application himself. He wanted to learn the techniques to see if he could replicate the looks Anna created for him. At first, his lines were shaky, the foundation too uneven. Anna guided him step by step, showing him how to blend carefully, how to choose colors that complemented his skin tone, how to do soft shading around the eyes. Each small lesson felt exciting. When he stepped back to see the final result, he felt pride in what he'd accomplished. "You're a natural," Anna praised him, delight evident in her grin. He blushed a bit, but inside he felt warmth. He realized it wasn't just about the final look. It was the process of creation, the artistry, the quiet moments in front of the mirror where he became something else. He loved it. They continued with their makeshift fashion show. Anna put on some music, and Ben walked around the room, trying out different poses. He tried the wigs, each one altering his appearance so dramatically that it felt like stepping into a new persona. He liked the curly, long wig best, the way it framed his face, the way it cascaded down his shoulders. He could see why Anna loved exploring her own drag king persona. Performance or not, the transformation had its own magic. At the end of the day, Anna teased him about how he might be ready to join her on stage soon. Ben laughed. While the thought of performing still made him anxious, he found it less unthinkable than before. At the same time, something inside him wondered, was he exploring these looks just for performance, or did they speak to a part of him that existed away from the stage? Time continued, and Ben's experimentation didn't cease. Soon, he found himself wanting to try these outfits and makeup routines even when Anna wasn't around. One evening, he stood in front of the mirror, alone in the apartment, a dress laid out on the bed. He hesitated, heart pounding, before stepping into it. He applied makeup step by step, the room silent except for the faint hum of traffic outside. When he finished and stared at his reflection, he felt a distinctive rush of comfort. Everything felt right, in a way he couldn't quite articulate. It wasn't about entertaining an audience, nor was it purely about fashion. It was like tapping into a different side of himself that had been resting beneath the surface, waiting for permission to emerge. He pressed his palms against his skirt, feeling the fabric. A gentle smile curved his lips. He repeated this in the weeks that followed, never mentioning it to Anna at first. He told himself it was personal time, his own private world. Yet, he felt a small pang of guilt for keeping it a secret. Anna had introduced him to this new expression after all, and she deserved to know. But he also wanted to understand his own feelings before voicing them. Sometimes he would record short videos of himself walking around in these outfits, adjusting his wig or posing. He saved them onto his phone, but never showed Anna. During the day, he'd think about them, a mixture of excitement and worry. Eventually, this tension built up enough that he knew he had to talk to Anna. One evening, they were cozied up on the couch. The TV was on, but neither of them was paying attention to the show. Anna was describing a new dance routine she was planning for Billy Knockout, and Ben was listening with a slight distraction in his gaze. She paused mid-sentence, picking up on his mood. "What's on your mind?" she asked gently. Ben exhaled, glancing at her. "I've been practicing, trying on clothes and doing makeup, alone." Her eyes widened slightly. "Really? How come you never told me?" "I guess I needed time to process the feelings. I found that I like it, not just as a performance angle. It's something I've been doing privately, and I don't know if that's weird or if it changes how you see me." Anna scooted closer, resting her hand on his knee. "It doesn't change how I see you. I love you. I love that you're exploring something that makes you feel good. But does this mean you're leaning away from performing on stage? Or is it both?" He shrugged, trying to find the words. "I can't quite see myself as a performer yet, even though I admire your courage. I think for me, dressing this way is personal. It's almost comforting. I don't necessarily need an audience. I just enjoy the sensation, the aesthetic." She nodded slowly, her expression pensive. "That makes sense. I initially introduced it as a performance idea because that's the world I know. But if you want to keep it private, that's your decision. I just hope you know I'm with you no matter what." Ben relaxed, relieved to hear her support. "Thank you," he said, letting out the breath he'd been holding. "I was worried you'd be disappointed that I don't want to turn it into some big stage routine." Anna shook her head. "Not at all. My only worry is whether you feel comfortable and safe doing this. I know drag is a big deal in the club scene, but outside those circles, people can be less accepting." He nodded, acknowledging the concern. "It's mostly for my own satisfaction. I'm not planning to parade it around the neighborhood." Anna gave him a reassuring smile. "Whatever you decide, you have me in your corner." Over the next month, they continued their dance around the idea of performance. Anna sometimes teased that Ben should at least do a cameo with her on a club night, even if just to walk across the stage or share a short number. Ben remained uncertain. Each time Anna invited him to watch one of her shows, he was still mesmerized by her ability to captivate the crowd as Billy Knockout. The roar of the audience, the flashing lights, the pounding music. It felt like a different universe than the quiet apartment where he found solace dressing in private. He occasionally joined Anna backstage. The other performers, both drag kings and drag queens, were a lively bunch, cracking jokes and hyping each other up. They were all friendly toward Ben, especially since they adored Anna. But he didn't feel ready to declare his own involvement. He would help with small tasks, maybe apply a quick coat of color to someone's wig, or fetch a makeup remover from the dressing table. Nobody pushed him beyond that, which he appreciated. One night, after a particularly energetic show, Anna brought up the subject again while they sat in her car. She was removing her Billy goatee, using wipes and a quick toner. "We have an opening in the lineup in a few weeks," she explained. "The manager asked if I know anyone who wants to try a short act. It would be like a cameo, 3 minutes. You'd just strut around, maybe lip-sync a verse or two of a song, then exit. That's it." Ben chewed on his lip. "Would we do it together? Or would it be just me?" "We could do it together," Anna offered, raising her eyebrows in an encouraging way. "We can do a couple's routine. I'd be Billy, you'd be in your queen look. We'd do a short piece of choreography and lip sync. People love duets, especially if they see a pair that's obviously a real-life couple." Ben remained silent, staring out the window at the passing streetlights. Part of him was intrigued, imagining himself on that stage, shimmering in costume, the heat of the spotlight on his skin, hearing the crowd's cheers. Another part of him felt a pang of dread. He was used to exploring his cross-dressing quietly, behind closed doors. The thought of stepping in front of an audience, even if Anna was next to him, sent his nerves fluttering. "I'll have to think about it," he said at length. Anna nodded, placing her wipes in the console. "No pressure, I promise, but it could be a cool moment, and I'd be there the entire time." Back at home, Ben wrestled with the question. On one hand, performing alongside Anna was how this entire idea started. He respected her world. Maybe giving it a try in a supportive environment would be liberating. On the other hand, he felt his interest pulling him in a more intimate direction. He loved dressing up when he was alone, stepping into a different kind of confidence. The stage was a public platform, a spectacle, and he wasn't sure if that's what he needed. As he lay awake, he wondered how to explain this to Anna, how he could love something so deeply, yet shy away from sharing it publicly. A tiny worry also nagged him. What if, for Anna, the real appeal was the shared performance aspect? Was she content that he just enjoyed cross-dressing in private, or did she truly hope to bring him into the spotlight? A few days later, Anna was practicing a new dance routine in the living room. She had pushed the coffee table to one side, music playing from a speaker. She moved with precise motions, occasionally pausing to refine a particular step. Ben sat on the couch, enthralled by her dedication. She noticed him watching and, with a playful grin, motioned for him to join her. He obliged, standing up and following her lead as best he could. They tried a bit of the choreography, Anna counting aloud to keep time. After a few minutes, she paused the music. "That's part of the routine I'm doing next weekend," she explained, catching her breath. "But if we ever do a cameo together, we could simplify it, make it more about the personality and lip sync than complex dance moves." Ben took a gulp of water. "Right. I bet that helps ease the pressure." Anna read the uncertainty in his face. She touched his arm gently. "You still haven't decided, have you?" He shook his head. "I'm torn. I love doing all this in private, but I'm afraid the stage might take away from how personal it feels. Or maybe I'm just scared of being judged or messing up. I'm not sure." Anna turned off the speaker and sat down, beckoning him to sit too. "Look, I introduced this to you because I thought it would be fun for us to share. But I had no idea it would become something deeper for you, and that's perfectly fine. This is your journey, not just mine. If you want to keep it between us, I can live with that. If you ever change your mind about performing, I'm here." Ben nodded slowly, relieved. "Thank you. I appreciate you giving me the freedom to figure it out on my own timeline." She hugged him, and they spent the rest of the evening binge-watching a show. The conversation paused, but not forgotten. Meanwhile, Ben's private dressing sessions grew more frequent. He searched online for tutorials, saved inspirational images of makeup looks, and scrolled through countless outfit ideas. He ordered a few items under Anna's guidance, a simple wig to call his own, some makeup brushes, and a couple of outfits. A sense of thrill ran through him when the packages arrived. He would try on each new piece, carefully applying makeup, marveling at how each transformation felt slightly different. One evening, Anna came home earlier than expected while Ben was mid-transformation. He was in the bathroom focusing on the mirror, wearing a wig he had styled with loose curls. The dress he had chosen was flowing and elegant. When he heard the sound of keys in the front door, his heart skipped. He quickly stepped out, still half-dressed. Anna paused in the entryway, eyebrows lifting in surprise. "You look amazing," she said after a brief moment, her voice soft. Ben blushed. "I didn't expect you so soon." She approached him carefully, taking in his ensemble. "I hope I didn't interrupt anything. You look beautiful." A small smile played on his lips. "You're not interrupting," he said. "I was just testing a new look." Anna reached out and touched his wig, gently smoothing a curl. "It's lovely. You're really good at this now, much better at blending than you were before." They stood in the hallway for a moment, the usual hush of the apartment surrounding them. Anna looked at him with genuine admiration, and he felt a flush of pride. She took his hand, leading him toward the larger mirror in the bedroom, and they both stood there, gazing at his reflection. "You have such poise," Anna murmured, resting her head on his shoulder. "I never realized how easily you carry yourself in a dress." He wasn't entirely sure how to respond, so he just rested his cheek against her hair. A sense of closeness filled him. They didn't need words to acknowledge what was happening. This was something important to him, and she was there to share it. He breathed in slowly, letting the moment fill him with a mix of tenderness and excitement. However, as the weeks rolled on, a subtle tension began to form. Anna continued to be supportive, but there were times she would mention a performance or mention how her friends were curious to see Ben's look. He would dodge those invites, not out of disinterest in her world, but because he wasn't ready to be exposed in that way. One Saturday, Anna was preparing to leave for a show. Ben was helping her load costumes and makeup into the car. She sighed, glancing at him. "You know, a couple of my drag queen friends keep asking about you, half joking that I'm hiding this secret superstar. They say they'd love to see you backstage, even if you're not performing." Ben tried to laugh it off. "That's sweet of them. Maybe someday." Anna fiddled with the clasp of one of her costume bags. "I won't push you. I just hope you know you're welcome, that's all." She managed a small smile before getting in the driver's seat. Ben watched her drive away, a knot of guilt tugging at him. He knew she wanted him to be part of her public life in this sphere, even if only in a small way. But the thought of letting the outside world see him in that form still overwhelmed him. Later that night, she returned exhausted and flopped into bed. Ben crawled in beside her. She rolled over and rested her hand on his chest. "I wish you could have seen the crowd tonight," she murmured sleepily. "It was so packed. People were cheering like crazy." He stroked her hair. "It sounds amazing." She gazed at him through tired eyes. "If you ever feel ready, I'd love to share that experience with you, but only if you feel it in your heart. I don't want to make you do anything." He pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. "I know. Thank you." A pivotal moment came when Ben stumbled upon an old invitation from the manager of the club. It was a standard invitation for performers, a small flyer that Anna had left in the kitchen. On the back, there was a handwritten note from the manager, complimenting Anna and playfully mentioning an open door for Ben's potential debut. Ben stared at that note for a long time. He realized that while Anna respected his boundaries, there was a part of her that truly wished to see him join her world, even for a single night. She had introduced him to the joys of drag, but now his perspective on it was diverging from hers. For him, it was a private, comforting expression that felt integral to who he was becoming. For her, drag was a stage performance, a communal celebration, a way to captivate an audience. They needed to talk about this difference to avoid letting it fester into unresolved tension. So one afternoon, as they sat on the couch with snacks, Ben mustered the courage to initiate a serious conversation. "Anna, I want to talk about everything that's been happening," he said, setting his plate on the coffee table. "I've realized I get so much from cross-dressing privately, almost like it's a personal form of creativity or introspection. But you're in a different world. You're out there performing, and I see you trying to bring me into that space." She nodded, placing her own snack aside. "I won't deny that I want to share the stage with you, but I never want you to feel obligated. Am I making you feel pressured?" Ben exhaled. "Maybe a little, but I know you mean well, and I don't blame you for being excited. It's just that for me, the public element complicates things. I like experimenting alone, or with you, in a safe environment. The stage, even the backstage world, can be intimidating. Part of me wants to protect what I've discovered. I'm afraid if I take it to the club, it might lose the intimacy." Anna shifted closer, wrapping an arm around his shoulders. "I get that. You're protecting something important to you. But I also love performing, and a selfish part of me wishes I could share that rush with you. If you're never ready, I'll respect that. It's just a desire, not a condition." They sat in silence for a few moments, hearing the distant hum of traffic through the windows. Ben turned to her. "What if we negotiate a small compromise? Maybe I'll come with you backstage again, in my normal clothes, just to watch from behind the scenes. And if I ever feel an impulse to dress up there, we can keep a bag of my stuff on hand. But I won't promise that I'll get on stage. Does that sound fair?" Anna smiled, relief evident in her eyes. "That sounds perfect. I just want you to feel comfortable and still be part of my world in whatever way you choose. We can keep a hidden bag of your outfit and makeup, no questions asked. And if that moment never comes, that's okay." Ben relaxed, hugging her. "Thank you for being patient with me. I know I've been all over the place." She returned the hug, resting her head against his chest. That's what relationships are about, right? Figuring out what works for both people, giving each other room to explore. True to their agreement, Ben began accompanying Anna to the club more often. He would stay backstage, exchanging friendly banter with the other performers. He didn't reveal his own cross-dressing to most of them, though a few had suspicions or had heard rumors from Anna. He remained friendly but vague about it, and they seemed to respect his boundaries. One night, while Anna was in the middle of getting ready, a flamboyant drag queen named Lolita Diamond sidled up to Ben. Lolita was tall, with a powerful silhouette, wearing a wig so large it nearly brushed the backstage lights. She leaned in and whispered conspiratorially, "I hear you might have a routine in you." Ben chuckled nervously. "People keep saying that, but I'm not sure." Lolita winked. "Never force it, honey. But if the itch ever becomes too strong to ignore, you let us know. We'll welcome you with open arms." She sashayed off, leaving Ben wondering if that day would come. He felt more at ease in the backstage energy, handing Anna her brushes or zipping up her jacket for Billy Knockout. Still, he stayed dressed in his usual jeans and t-shirt. In a side bag, carefully folded, lay a black dress, a pair of tights, a modest pair of heels, and a wig, just in case. One evening the club was especially lively. Anna was scheduled for a prime spot in the lineup. The buzz backstage was electrifying. Performers were practicing last-minute dance moves, reapplying eyeliner, fluffing their wigs. Ben, perched on a chair in the corner, watched as Anna transformed into Billy Knockout. She was wearing a crisp white shirt and sleek black pants. Her hair was pulled back under a cap, and the fake facial hair was meticulously applied, giving her that magnetic masculine edge. Just as Anna was about to step on stage, she squeezed Ben's hand. "Wish me luck." He nodded, smiling supportively, and she disappeared behind the curtain to a round of thunderous applause. Ben stood near the edge of the backstage area, peeking through a tiny gap in the curtain. He saw Anna strut onto the stage, exuding confidence, the audience roaring in approval. Music blasted through the speakers, and Billy Knockout began a sharp, stylized dance routine. The crowd's energy ignited something in him, stirring both awe and a faint longing. He watched her spin, pivot, drop to her knees in a flourish. The applause was deafening. Ben couldn't help but think of the times he had put on a wig and dress at home, the feeling of seeing a new self in the mirror. For a brief moment, he pictured himself stepping onto that stage in full glam, shining under the lights. His heart hammered at the idea, equal parts fear and excitement. Anna finished her routine with a final pose. The lights dimmed, and the audience erupted in applause. She bounded off stage, breathless, eyes shining with triumph. As she passed, she caught Ben's gaze. He gave her a proud thumbs up. She grinned and mouthed, "Thank you," her chest heaving. Later, once she had changed out of the sweaty shirt and wiped away the facial hair, they found a quiet nook backstage. "That was amazing," he said, leaning in to kiss her. "You were incredible out there." She laughed softly, still high on adrenaline. "I felt great. Everything clicked." Ben hesitated, feeling a familiar surge of nerves. "I had this moment while watching you, where I almost wanted to step out there myself." Anna's eyes lit up. "Really?" He nodded, swallowing. I'm still scared, though. She squeezed his hand. It's okay to be scared. If you ever want to, you know I'll be right there. If not, that's okay too. He studied her face, the faint traces of glitter on her cheeks, the smudges of leftover brow makeup. I'm glad we found this balance, he said. I just needed the freedom to explore it on my own, and I love supporting you from behind the scenes. I still might one day put on my outfit and step under the spotlight, but right now, I'm just not there yet. Anna nodded, leaning her forehead against his. Whenever you're ready. In the weeks that followed, Ben continued to dress up at home, sometimes with Anna, sometimes alone. Their relationship grew stronger as they found ways to support each other's interests without trying to force them to align perfectly. Anna flourished in her performance life, refining Billy Knockout style, adding intricate choreography, even bringing in props. Ben became her #1 fan, attending shows, cheering her on, occasionally helping her friends with quick costume fixes. Behind closed doors, he explored a growing wardrobe of outfits. At times, Anna joined in, offering tips or just enjoying his company while they chatted about fabrics and color palettes. At other times, he spent hours alone, discovering subtle changes in posture, expressions, and mannerisms that felt more true to what he wanted to convey in that moment. He found that cross-dressing wasn't just about looking different. It allowed him to experience himself in a broader way. They had their share of minor misunderstandings. Occasionally, Anna would let slip a comment about a show cameo, and Ben would bristle. She learned to respect the boundaries he repeatedly set, knowing he needed his own space to sort out what this meant to him. In turn, Ben learned not to be defensive. He trusted Anna's intentions, understanding that her enthusiasm came from love and a desire to share her world. One night, they sat together on the couch, the TV flickering with a random series in the background. Anna rested her head against Ben's shoulder, her voice filled with that warm closeness he cherished. I've been thinking, she said. I love that we have this special bond. You're discovering things about yourself, and I'm discovering them too, in my own way, right there with you. Even if we have different perspectives, it still feels like we're on an adventure together. Ben smiled, pressing a hand over hers. I was worried we'd be on separate pages, that you'd only want me involved if it meant performing in front of people. But you've been so patient. She lifted her head, her gaze firm. I love the performer's life, but it's not the only way. If your expression is something you prefer to keep personal, that's valid. I just hope it keeps making you feel good. Ben kissed her softly. It does. And I promise if I ever change my mind and want to do a real show, you'll be the first to know. Anna giggled. I'm holding you to that. In the end, their story reached a place of understanding and calm. Ben continued to cross-dress in private, occasionally having mini runway moments in the living room while Anna whooped and cheered. Anna kept perfecting Billy Knockout's routines, dazzling crowds on the weekends. Sometimes Ben lingered backstage, greeted by friendly performers who would wink at him and say, "Maybe tonight's the night?" He would just smile politely, a polite shake of his head indicating, "Not yet." But there was no animosity in that response, just a knowing gentleness. Some nights, sitting in the apartment, Ben would recall the thunderous applause he heard from behind the curtain and consider stepping out into it. He'd imagine the bright lights catching on the sequins of a gown, the wig tickling his neck, and Anna's proud face beaming from the wings. For a moment, he'd feel that tug of possibility. Yet, in the meantime, he was content with the way things were. These private transformations that filled him with a quiet sense of belonging, the supportive presence of Anna, and the knowledge that the stage, if he ever wanted it, waited just around the corner. And Anna was there, arms wide, ready to help him take that step or let him remain in the solace of their intimate space. For the two of them, love meant adapting to each other's worlds without demanding total overlap. Each had found joy in different aspects of drag, Anna in the cheers of a crowded club, Ben in the hush of his bedroom mirror. Neither approach was wrong, and both of them thrived on the connection they shared whenever they put on makeup together, rummaged through closets, and dreamed up possibilities. In that mutual respect, they discovered that they could grow side by side, forging a path that honored both of their desires. One late evening, as they were drifting off in bed, Anna reached for Ben's hand. "You know," she murmured, half asleep, "whether you're dressed in jeans or in the fanciest gown, I'll always think you're amazing." Ben felt his chest tighten with affection. "Likewise," he whispered. "Suit, full drag, or sweatpants. You'll always be my star." She smiled against the pillow, eyes closing. "Night, gorgeous." Ben closed his eyes too, sinking into the comfortable silence. He knew that whatever the future held, whether he joined her on stage one day or forever kept this side of himself quietly at home, he had found a new dimension to his identity, something that felt real and honest. And he had Anna by his side, the person who lit the spark of curiosity in him. Together, they were forging a relationship that could hold both the thrill of spotlight performances and the tenderness of private, transformative moments. With that thought warming his mind, he drifted into sleep, content and assured that while life would keep changing, their bond and the freedom they had given each other would remain a bright spot in everything yet to come.
Did you like the story? Hit that like button and tell me what you thought in the comments. Do you want to hear more stories? Subscribe and hit the bell. For exclusive content and early access, check out our Patreon. You can find the link in the description, or you can watch any of the videos shown on my right. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.